Greetings, YouTube. It is I, Sakana, coming at you with another issue of Total Brohammer. Issue, is that what this is? I don't know. Installment. There we go. A little Wood Elves versus Beastmen action. It's not a matchup you see so often, actually. You know, I think about it. I haven't really seen too much of it. In Warhammer 1, I think it was a matchup that actually heavily favored the Beastmen. Even though the Beastmen weren't a great faction, they had a lot of tools against the Wood Elves that I thought were quite effective and made it difficult for the Wood Elves to emerge victorious. Of course, you'll get people saying different things. The Wood Elves were quite good in Warhammer 1. Yeah, I think they did have a lot of options. Again, it was a good matchup in any case. And it's also very flavorful, right? The Beastmen are like these roving hordes of monstrosities that Chaos has corrupted. Whereas the Wood Elves just love animals. They're just happy-go-lucky animal lovers who also steal children and murder people and force them to like die by 1,000 cuts. They fight war dancers who have like orgasms while they murder. It's pretty intense, Warhammer. It's not a fun place to be for anybody, really. Although it is very much my fetish to be murdered by a gorgeous woman. Just probably not by 1,000 sword slaps. More like someone like really hot, like I don't know, drowns me in her vagine or something. That's not such a bad way to go. Anyways, let's go to army compositions. So I brought 3 Glade Guards, Hagbane tips just to do some skirmishing, and also my build here is one I actually kind of like to bring against Chaos as well. It's for factions that struggle with large, and if you bring a Durthu, a couple of Treekin, a couple of Wildwood Rangers, a couple of War Dancers, and a couple of Spearmen, alongside a Mage of Spellsinger of Life, who has Earthblood and Dwellers Below. And I think it's just a good combination because the Beastmen struggle with anti-large unless they bring Minotaurs with great weapons, and you're probably not going to see too many Minotaurs with great weapons against Wood Elves. And then you have the Azrai Spear if they do, to just wreck them up. It's also good because you don't have any backline to defend, which is very difficult against Beastmen, because they're just so fast. They have those Senegors with like 95 speed and never tire, and they just get around your backlines, not to mention Gorbals and Chariots and all this, nonsense. And the Treekin are really good at mucking up those Chariots if they do bring a lot of Chariots, which is a pretty common pick against Wood Elves as well. The Treekin can, sort of slow those Chariots down to a crawl and make sure they can't get to you. So I like this build, actually. It works also. It's a similar principle against Chaos as well. So yeah, that's my build. Over here, my opponent has brought, so he's got a Cygor, one natural Cygor, a Morgor the Shadowgate, Shaman of Death, which is a great pick. Death is a great lore. A couple of Senegors with throwing axes, one Chaos Warhammer Poison, Senegor with great weapons in here. Not sure you need the great weapons. You're going to be fighting Wood Elves, Treekins, I guess. It's good against me because of this matchup. You're not going to see a lot of Treekin generally, so great weapons probably aren't necessary, but not a bad pick either, just in case you want that extra armor piercing. And then Chaos Poisons. Meanwhile, a couple of Ungor Raiders, a couple of Goreherd, or one Goreherd, maybe 2. No, just the one out here defending the Raiders, and that's all she wrote. So let's get started. So right away, sorry, I'm eating my nail. Nothing but the best for you guys on YouTube here. Anyways. So you can see over here, the Cygor is chucking him. He's throwing his boulders, doing his thing. I don't mind. I got 1,000 speed. I'm just trying to dodge. He does get, oh no, one guy. Oh boy. He's real dead. Oh, Samuel. Oh, he got, no, 2. 2. But Samuel's the one I really care about. And he fucked up that tree, it looks like. Anyway, so he got a guy. But I don't mind him wasting ammo on my Glade Riders. Not super important. I do run into his Senegors over here. I didn't see them. But he doesn't pursue, and I think that was a mistake. I think if he had pursued, he might have been able to catch them. They do have 94 speed, and they will poison, but Hounds have what? 95 speed? So maybe with the poison they couldn't have, but they can't get both units. I don't know. Might have been worth it. We'll never know. I think my opponent would have been better off pursuing, though. Meanwhile, he does kind of try and screen off with these Ungor Raiders. But I'll see that coming. And I realize, okay, they're in these woods too. I am trying to shoot down his Warhounds with poison because I just want to get rid of them as quick as I can because they are dangerous to my Glade Riders. He does get me a couple times here, but I see this coming, so I run away. Yeah, if he just sends one unit, that's a mistake, because they definitely won't be able to catch them with the poison. Meanwhile, I have my whole army in the forest, and the reason being is that, first of all, I don't want to take that Cygor fire. Secondly, these guys get bonus burst large in the woods. So I want to keep them in there as long as I can. Not that there's much large on the field, but if they have to fight Senegors or whatever, that extra, I think it's like 16 they get, 16 melee attack will be huge to just melt them. We're playing a little back and forth here, a little give and take. Again, his Cygor is just wasting ammo on my these units, and they are high value because if you can keep these guys alive instead of running throwing axes, they can melt Durthu. They're the biggest threat to Durthu by far. So I do want to keep these guys. I do want to keep my Blade Riders rather alive, so they can deal with these Centaurs with throwing axes. But at the same time, if I let his Cygor get shots on my army, it'll just decimate them, especially my high value infantry, and it'll make killing those Vestigors that much more difficult. So I don't know. It's give or take. Give or take. It's hard to say what was the right move, what wasn't. I probably should have advanced earlier, I think, because even with the Cygor, he also has Fate of Yuna, which he would have done that on my Wild Rangers anyway, so they were gonna die anyways. So they wouldn't be able to get too much work done on Vestigor herds, but it's all in hindsight. Meanwhile, I'm just doing a little dance back and forth. We're trying to, we're jockeying for position here. I'll speed it up a little bit, and then we're just going back and forth, back and forth. I'm taking actually a lot of damage, but again, he's almost out of ammo on the Cygor. I do get some shots off here and there, and then eventually I'm like, all right, time to move. So I move my whole little contingent from woods to woods, like whatever the Benny Hill song is. That's a really terrible rendition of the Benny Hill song. But I'm running from woods to woods to avoid the Cygor fire. So I get in those woods. I'm waiting. He's still throwing. He's nearly out of ammo, although they do have a ton. I think he still has like 11 shots at this point. Yeah, 11, which is crazy. I guess they start with like 30, because that seems about a third left. That's wild. But he's just chucking them. He's just throwing his boulders. But I'm like, all right, let's get to these woods. High ground and the woods, I like that very much, because that'll benefit me more than it'll benefit him. Although I think Cygors don't suffer force penalty. If I'm mistaken. Yeah, they don't get force penalty. Do Centaurs? Centaurs do get the force penalty, so I don't mind that. Because fighting the forest will benefit my guys. Far more than it'll benefit theirs. He does get a nice rock here on some Wild Rangers, but again, not a big deal. I am trying to shoot. He's moving his huge contingent of Centaurs over here to the right flank. I'm also, I mean, I don't know how quick my opponent was in terms of seeing what I have, but I feel like I'm pretty confident that he doesn't know the exact composition of my army. He is getting shots in here with his Ungor Raiders, and I realize, okay, maybe it's time to move. Eventually, I'm like, okay, I can't take too many of these shots, but I do move Durthu up pretty confidently, knowing that there's not a whole lot of threats to him other than these Centaurs with throwing axes. There's not a lot that can do much damage to him. So yeah, he's coming with these Chaos Boarhounds, but I'm like, I'm tired of running away from them. I'm just gonna, engage here, and they will crumble. They take a lot of damage on the charge, and then they get flanked by these guys, and their leadership is sub 4, so they just run away. So that was just an easy way to get those guys off the map. So as I'm paying attention over there, I'm getting shot by some Ungor Raiders. I'm like, okay, time to run. Durthu gets a free laser beam in, and I'm just gonna hit these Ungor Raiders here. And what I'm trying to do here is bait out his Vestigors, and this is perfect because I have my my Spellsinger over here, and I'm waiting to deploy her to throw in a sick Dwellers Below. So I'm getting everything in here. They're charging. He's Spirit Leeching. They're doing a lot of damage. Like, oh yeah, let's farm here too. And then I'm like, okay, time to send in the trees. Send in the hounds. But over here, the Vestigors, everyone's mobbing him, and he is taking some damage actually. He's not doing terribly. But you can see this is where a Dweller's Below is going to go down, and it is just going to start mopping face. And you see, oh, it comes out of the ground. Durthu and his buddies. I think it does actually a lot of damage to Durthu too, surprisingly. Yeah, it does quite a bit of damage to Durthu, unless that's the enemies. But yeah, you can just see them, they're just whiling away, taking out Vestigors left and right. And now my real trees my sentient trees are back. And you can see, yeah, I did about half damage to both these Vestigor herds, so they are heavily damaged. Meanwhile, I set off a heal in here, an Earthblood, so that's bringing Durthu back. And then I'm like, all right, time to charge. Move all my soldiers in. He's trying to throw his throwing axes now at Durthu, which again is my fear, and he's Spirit Leeching, so he is doing a lot of damage to Durthu. And he does actually get a Chaos Bond in the back here, but he's fighting Eternal Guard, so that's not going to go well for him. I don't know if they get the Forest bonus here. I don't think they do, because they're not really in the Forest, but that's kind of unfortunate. Still, Durthu is taking damage, but as you can see, he's also fucking up Morgar. I don't know why my opponent sort of brought Morgar against him. I think that was maybe a mistake. Morgar isn't the greatest duelist. He has Regenerate, so he's hard to kill. But yeah, that's actually not terrible, 55-45, but no armor piercing. It's not a fight Morgar wants to be involved in. Meanwhile, I am using these Eternal Guard to screen out these throwing axes, because they are going to get some serious work done on Durthu. But other than that, I have Eternal Guard in here that are totally untouched. I have Eternal Guard over here. Wild Rangers here that are totally untouched. Other Wild Rangers here that are doing good damage. I bring these guys back. I have some heals going down. My tree kit are doing well. Yeah, it's just not looking good for my opponent at this point. I bring these guys around, his War Dancers, to get on this Brave Shaman and start taking him down. And yeah, and then he also, I guess he took these guys off skirmish, and they just got caught by my Eternal Guard. Pardon me, and he wasn't really paying attention because there's a lot going on right now. Makes sense. I mean, I make mistakes all the time. But meanwhile, yeah, so his Bracing of Death is stuck in here against War Dancers, which is not a good place for him to be. Durthu is just, sticking his sword into Morgar's face and leaving like a... just leaving whatever that is, like amber underneath the ground, or maybe that's Morgar's fucking hot urine as he fights a giant tree monster and realizes, oh shit, I don't have armor piercing. But yeah, Durthu just keeps stabbing the ground. My god's like 3 times in a row. For a guy who loves the planet, he just fucked Gaia up, Mother Earth up. But other than that, everything's going alright. We're charging off his units. The Cygor is not going to last 2 seconds against these War Dancers. They will just melt him. So I don't mind that. Meanwhile, as long as I can keep these Centaurs throwing axes away, Durthu will be fine. Let's see if he stabs the ground again. It's his favorite move now. What's he gonna do? No, he's walking. He's walking. What's his deal? Ooh, he just goes for a big old swing and he fucks him up. But also some of his own guy. But yeah, as you can see, Morgar's hot urine is just leaving a stream of corruption wherever he goes. Before he realizes that this is a battle he cannot win, and he's running away now. But the Spellslinger is not gonna let him get out of here. It's just gonna keep fucking launching little green bombs out of his ass until he goes down. And I think that is all she wrote for Warhammer. Morgar is dead, the Cygor is going down, and then at this point it's just GG. The Centaur's throwing axes just there's nothing they can do against at this point. And I think the whole army just starts to rout, and there might be one unbreakable unit somewhere. Oh yeah, he's summoned Chaos Spawn, so they're just gonna fight to the end. So GG my opponent. We played a lot of games actually yesterday. I think his name is Master Strategist or something like that. We'll show at the end. He was a nice guy. I liked playing him. It was a good time. It was always a little, very, fun little battles. Yeah, I think a couple of mistakes from my opponent, just to, give a review. He should have chased down my Glade Riders early on. It wouldn't have made too much of a difference, but he would have gotten some easy kills. I think if they had caught them, which is, maybe they wouldn't have, but I think they would have. That would have been a good move. And also, he had to get his Centaurs on Durthu early in that fight. That would have helped huge. And a heroic victory. I don't know why it's heroic. Look how pretty this map is. Jesus. Very pretty. All these mountains everywhere. Such a wonderful home. Old tower. But, yeah, heroic. Very cool. Revel in your might. Always do, Warhammer. Always do. Yeah, so that was a good battle. So I think the Centaurs with throwing axes are key in this matchup. Only to take down Durthu. But I do like this build. I think it's a solid one. Again, I don't know how super competitive it is, but against factions that struggle with large, it can be really difficult to break because Durthu can be just a giant, he can create like a ball, and then everything charges into that ball, and you can do Dwellers Below and just murder infantry. If they have chariots to try and take down your infantry, you have Treekin that will mop them up, rather. They won't do any damage, but at least they'll keep them pinned. And if they can keep them pinned long enough that you get 1 or 2, War Dancers charges on them, it's just brutal. And then, of course, the Hagbane Tips are just very utilitarian units. I think they have, 160 range or something silly, and they're super fast. They do poison, and they do, 22 weapon damage or something. They're really good. So, maybe even Sisters of Thorn instead of one of them you could swap out. I mean, you can tinker with this build a little bit. And then I put shields on them for the extra melee defense, because why not? Yeah, my opponent's build, I don't mind it at all. Morgar is a very good lord. Cygors are strong. Bestigors are very strong as well. Again, chariots are usually a pick you see against Wood Elves, but I hate chariots, so I'm all for my opponent not bringing them. And Centaurs with throwing axes are really good in this game. They're probably one of the best units in the entire game, and they'll do very well against, again, like I said, trees. The only problem is you couldn't get them in the right position. But yeah, GG my opponent, and enjoyed this battle a lot, and hope you guys enjoyed watching Morgar piss himself in front of Durthu. And I will see you around Bennett.